Please be seated. Good morning. When I was a kid, I went to church camp, and I went to Bible school, and I went to Sunday school, and we said grace at home, and all my friends did. And so I don't know where I learned this. It was just in the water that I swam in. And I bet you know it too. Let's just see. This is the day.
This is the day
that the Lord has made.
That the Lord has made.
I will rejoice.
I will rejoice.
And be glad in it.
And be glad in it.
All together. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Amen. That's what this sermon is about. This is the day that the Lord has made, so let us rejoice and be glad in it. Today's gospel reading is like a breath of fresh air to me as a preacher. We've been marching our way through Luke's gospel, and we just keep getting walloped by Jesus saying to us challenging and difficult things. And they not only challenge us, they challenge our preferred view of Jesus as a really nice guy. We have been reminded over the past 6 weeks or so that Jesus was pure brightness of his Father's glory, meaning he was searing and intensely moral and focused in a way that would probably make most of us pretty uncomfortable if we encountered him in person in that mode. But today's reading marks a little bit of a reprieve for us. Jesus' fearless and fierce gaze turns to the work of mercy. We have Jesus healing a woman who had been crippled by a spirit for 18 years, such that she could not even stand up straight. But there's a glitch. He healed her on the Sabbath. True to form, the leader of the synagogue comes out to rebuke Jesus in front of the crowd, saying that he shouldn't have been doing work on the day of rest. There are 6 other days in the week. Why didn't you come on one of those days? Now, I'm sure the original audience of Luke's gospel would have been on the edge of their seats about this. Here's the Son of God, and he is breaking the religious rules. This is good stuff. It's good drama. What's coming next? What I absolutely love about Jesus' response to this leader of the synagogue is that instead of tearing him down, instead of tearing down his idea of keeping the Sabbath, Jesus seems to offer an even more robust picture about what the Sabbath truly means. Instead of following down his path of strict rules and prohibitions, do not do this, do not do that, thou shalt not this, thou shalt not that, Jesus looks for the positive value in keeping Sabbath. What is it for? What good does it offer us? What's the reason that we honor this tradition of keeping the Sabbath in the first place? He makes the point that everyone likely does at least a little work on the Sabbath. I mean, who among us doesn't have to go water our donkeys? Am I right? But he rejects the idea that he should have waited until some other day to heal this woman, because of what the Sabbath is to him. To Jesus, the Sabbath is the day that he should heal her. Elsewhere in the Gospels, we hear Jesus justify his work on the Sabbath with a catchy little phrase. Sabbath was made for man, and not man for Sabbath. Right? Meaning it's supposed to be helpful to us, not a hassle for us. But that is not even the justification Jesus offers in this scene. He is saying a person is entitled, by virtue of the fact that they are part of God's creation, a person is entitled to the benefits of the Sabbath. Every created thing rests on the seventh day. And the purpose of the Sabbath is just that, rest. A place to stop and find joy, to look for peace, to be recreated. God has given all of us the Sabbath as a time of joy, carved out from the struggle, so that we can enjoy the creation, so that we can rest and recover and find comfort and satisfaction. But this woman Jesus heals, she's like Mick Jagger. She can't get no satisfaction. Seriously though, the 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 18 years of her crippling ailment means that she hasn't enjoyed the spirit of Sabbath in likely a very long time. She hasn't been able to relax, to enjoy, to be at peace and recreation. She's been tormented. And that's the context into which Jesus says to the leader of the synagogue, ought not this woman be set free from bondage on the Sabbath day? In other words, what could be a better way to keep the Sabbath than to restore unto someone their ability to relax and rest? And notice what she does as soon as she is healed. She praises God. Sunday is the Sabbath for Christians. And though we do retain some of the traditional vestiges of that idea, namely like coming to worship on Sunday mornings together, we have all seen our culture encroach on this time in our week. And on other times in our week. I'm sure there are lots of reasons, but the thing that comes to mind for me is what's happened in my own life as a result of technology. Remember when you could remember phone numbers? I still remember all my friends' phone numbers from when I was a kid. But because of email and online work, we are conditioned now and often expected to work at home, at night, after work is over. Technology sends us notifications. It pushes us to do more and to take fewer breaks. So I think that perhaps some of the issues we're seeing in society, and maybe some of the decline in church attendance over the past couple of decades, might be at least indirectly related to the extraordinary increase in daily activity and productivity in our professional and personal lives, driven by technology. One reason some people aren't coming to church in the mornings on Sundays is they are exhausted. It takes a bit of work to come here, doesn't it? To say hello, to put on clothes. It's more than some people have. They are physically in need of sleep when Sunday rolls around, because the other 6 days in their week are utterly packed with activity and productivity. Our culture has lost touch with the value of setting limits, of unplugging, unwinding, being still, resting, waiting. The gods of endless productivity and online deadlines and messy notification alerts and virtual collaboration teams do not care about the state of our souls. They have one programmed goal. They are programmed so that we get more work done in less time. And I'm as guilty as anyone at following this way. But the word this morning has me wondering if maybe the people of God should reconnect and reclaim the positive side of Sabbath. Reconnect with our human need of it. And that's not to be judgmental about whether or not someone can come to this place on a Sunday morning. Maybe they work. Maybe they are exhausted. Maybe they really do need to sleep, or they really do need to be alone for the first time on. Jesus was popular. Look at the last line of the reading. It says, everybody loved him, or something like that. And I think that his power and popularity stemmed from the fact that he provided new avenues of access to God for those who had been told they were out on the outside. Jesus' ministry targets just about exclusively those who are outcast from the purity culture of that day. He targets Gentiles, he targets tax collectors, prostitutes, lepers and lame, the demon-possessed, the poor, the blind, the imprisoned. And he makes a way to God for them. He says honoring God is not so much about what not to do or who not to be. It's about what you do and about who you are. Who to be. Be a person who loves. Be a person who puts loving God and neighbor at the center of your life. The invitation is to everyone, not just the professionally religious. Jesus is saying the good news of God's love is rightfully a gift for all people, just as the Sabbath is a gift for all people. And we are told, here's that line, the entire crowd was rejoicing at the wonderful things he was doing. And so that's the thing I think each of us can take with us into our lives, into our worlds, into our contexts as we disperse from this place and do our mission. It's to remember that the authenticity of our faith is not in how successful we are at keeping the prohibitions. It's not about following the strict rules and the do-nots, as much as it is about providing the positive value that the world receives when we become people who put loving God and our neighbors at the center of our lives. The world needs to see Christians, people from St. Albans, as adding value. As people of integrity whose way of life leads to life. And that might just begin with taking Sabbath seriously in either a traditional or some contemporary sense, by setting healthy boundaries. Maybe taking some time to turn your phone off. Maybe disabling the notifications. or neutralizing the expectation that you will immediately reply to every email or text message that you've received. Because Sabbath is a day, but it's also a principle now in this world, a commitment. And we've got to figure out how to carry it with us, not just one day a week, but somehow into our whole life, 7 days a week. And that part about how the entire crowd was rejoicing at the wonderful things that Jesus was doing, I think that's a universal thing for us too. I think that when the world sees the good news of the gift of the Sabbath, and when the world meets people for whom the Sabbath is practiced in large and small ways, 7 days a week, they will see a way of life that leads to life, and they will want it too. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad